Lady Charmaine, and my guest today is a producer, director, and president of Destined Films. He has directed such films as We Are Family, Perfect Combination, and his new film starring former Destiny Child member LaToya Luckett. And he's here today to talk about his new movie entitled Note to Self. I want you to help me welcome president of Destined Studios, Mr. Trey Haley, to the show. Hey, Trey, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for bringing me on.
And Happy New Year to you. Did you bring it in real good?
Absolutely. It was great. It was a very peaceful, enjoyable New Year. And how about yourself?
Oh, I did. I had a good time in church, of course, shouted my way through the new year, giving God praise. So I did. I had a great New Year bringing it in. Well, Trey, you have been pretty busy, and God has basically blessed you. Your film, Note to Self, was one of the opening films for the Hollywood Black Film Festival. Tell me, what was that experience like for you?
Oh, man. That was a pretty exciting experience, just as a filmmaker in general, but then, also being an African-American filmmaker, our films, it's so important to get our stories out there. And then, with Tanya Kersey having, who's over the Hollywood Black Film Festival, allowing us to, actually calling us to bring this movie in and be the opening night film was a blessing. I mean, it was to get that type of exposure for the project. It was something that, like I said, every filmmaker always would love to have, just be opening night film at such a great film festival such as that. And, we were excited. Everybody was there, the cast and crew, and, everybody, it was a great experience.
Now, let's talk about before you got into film and directing. You are from a town called Denton, Texas, and I have relatives there. Where did your desire to even go into film and entertainment come from?
Yeah, actually, I'm from Arlington, Texas, and I went to college in Denton, Texas.
Okay.
The school is called the University of North Texas, so that's in Denton. It's 30 minutes outside of 40 minutes outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And really, my passion and, that came from, I've always knew I was going to pretty much, even in high school, I was going to probably be in the entertainment business. I really thought I was going to be in the music business at first, to be honest with you. And, but I was playing instruments all my life, playing music by ear on the keyboards and stuff like that. But then, as I started, a lot of my friends were in the acting world, and I started learning more about Spike Lee's projects and seeing scripts and being around my friends. And, I really started getting a knack for the film business and just an enjoyment of that in general. And I believe, once you find something that you really love to do, you should start. There's a reason why you're passionate about that, and it's on you. So when I got into college, I did an internship to, see if this is really what I wanted to do. And so, when I was in University of North Texas, I was at this a cable company, and I had a job there where I was a cable programmer. And first it was an internship, then it turned into a job, part-time job as a cable programmer. And there, I had the chance to edit, shoot stuff, local things, and I ended up being able to close down the cable company. Now, they don't know this, but I took advantage of having that studio. So, all to myself. And I find myself grabbing footage, going to Blockbuster and getting sports stuff together and making my own little visual projects. And, man, and then I just found myself up one day till 3, 4 o'clock at night and realized this is for me not to be tired, I wasn't even thinking about my class. I forgot I had to go to class in the morning, but I was up to practice. This is what I love to do. And from that moment on, I made it my purpose, to find this. I need to tap into this more and go after this directing. I love just creating and making powerful images and messages. I just realized the power of an image is very powerful, how you can touch people's lives. And so I wanted to do things like that. It's like movies like Boomerang and specifically was a movie that really inspired me too, to see how you can, to show people in a light, show specifically African Americans too, in a light that's, empowering and positive. And, we're doing more than what you see the media, the news telling you that we're doing, and showing us in loving relationships. That's, and beyond. Obviously there's projects that we're also doing that are, it's not about necessarily colors, but it's about the story too. So, part of our mission is to entertain, educate, and empower. So anything that we do within that movie, in our films, it's going to always kind of be destined, quote unquote, to change the perception of the world that will be the message within all of our stories. That's kind of like how it all started, you know.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned working at a cable company, being a programmer. Was that like a local access where people can come and put shows locally on television?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was a local cable company in Denton, and I was the guy that put in the tapes every night to make sure, you know, like, you have the commercials, and then you put on those local shows that come on that somebody brings in. That was my job, and, you know, making sure that those things came on on the right time. But that was also, but in between that, you know, you have an hour show. We're also putting together the pay-per-view events and doing all this other stuff. So, you know, you just kind of hone in on something you find out this is what you love. You know, you say, hey, this is something I'm interested in. Put yourself into situations where you can test the waters to see if this is something that you really enjoy doing, you know?
And that's the one thing that I like. You took advantage of what was in front of you. You didn't let it go, and then through that, you allowed yourself to find a passion that you actually had. And speaking of that passion, how was Destined Films formed?
Destined Films. So after I moved to L.A., funny enough, I knew nobody in L.A. that's in the entertainment business when I moved to Los Angeles. Not one person. The only person I knew was a friend of the family's. So when I moved out here from Texas to stay in an apartment to get my feet, you know, it's like I have to get out there, and I don't know a single person in the entertainment business, but I'm going to figure it out. And, man, you know, just through prayer and God, you know, just trusting on that, I know that this was for me, and listening to what God was telling me. He said, just go out there, and I got your back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he led me to, I had a job that, you know, I just got out here, got my feet wet, get a job, you know, just started to figure out the landscape. And I met a person there who introduced me to a film, like this thing called Doughboys Dozens. It goes on. It used to go on every fourth Wednesday, and the Doughboy, he's passed away, you know, unfortunately at this time. But I mean, he's passed away. But he had an amazing thing he did, which he allowed filmmakers to meet each other every fourth Wednesday. Up and coming filmmakers to the people who are already there. That everybody would just kind of meet. And at the fourth time I went there, strangely enough, I ended up meeting who my partner is today, my business partner today, Andy Brown. And the fourth time, and his whole concept was, you see these short films, but then in between everything, he wanted you to meet everybody. He's like, hey, you got directors who want to direct, you have actors, you have producers, stand up. If you're on one side of the room, you need to go to the other side, meet people. Like, and so he does this networking thing that, you know, it's like he forces you to network almost, you know. It was a great thing, and I met my business partner there. We had very similar goals, really connected on a larger vision, which is we need to create something that, you know, our whole idea was create a company and even name it Destined Studios for not just for today, but for what we plan on it being. It's kind of like speaking it to an existence. So we want to create, our goal is to create a movie studio in Hollywood where people of all races, genders, colors could come together and make projects that really reflect their communities and stories that are real, you know, a real representation of what America truly is, you know, and beyond, you know. And so that was the goal, Destined Studios. So now it's two levels to it. Destined is, Tri is also a representation of the Trinity, you know, TRI, we put it in, you know, the power of three.
Yes.
And so Tri comes from the word Trinity. We are a Christian-based company, and we wanted to, you know, the foundation is there for that. And then we wanted to, the word destined, you know, the creating our own destiny, you know, and making it in the studio. That means Destined Studio. Just kind of sounded great to me. You know, we just hey,
and it does.
It sounds powerful. Sounds powerful. We wanted something powerful. You know, when words have power.
Yes.
So, you know, and then it just kind of carried from there. And we just started very small. You know, you take baby steps. And shot our first film with little to no money. Brought a bunch of friends together. And from there, our first film was called, what was that first film called? It was called Room for Seven. And Room for Seven just kind of built a network of friends, and film people kind of introduced us to the filmmaking world, what Destined Studios, kind of the projects we're going to be making. And it just built from there. But in between there, we did things like, I ended up doing another internship when I came out here too, because I wanted to find out what it's like to work in a company that's like really doing it big, kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I ended up doing an internship with Morgan Freeman's company, Revelations Entertainment. That was a very eye-opening experience because along with me also doing like PA work, working around other filmmakers and directors and music video directors, like, it just gets you, as you're doing your thing, in being around other people who are doing it where you're kind of like the direction in which you're headed, so to say,
right.
a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to get the experience so that once again, it's kind of like being in that internship. You're doing your thing as well, but you're learning the process. Because I never, like I said, I'm coming from Texas, so there's a lot of knowledge I still didn't get, even though, I went to college to study this stuff. But until you really get out there and do it, it's like a whole nother college education. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, hands-on.
The hands-on, you can't beat the hands-on experience, tell me. So anyway, that's kind of in a nutshell, how Try Destined kind of formed together. And, we just build, and, you take step by step. You have your big goals, but then you also make sure that, you're never not sitting still, so to say, And sometimes you have to balance that out and make sure that, hey, this is the goals, pretty big goals, and then here's some other steps to help us get to the big goals,
Right.
And take advantage of those. And I have an editing background, obviously, from being in college. I use that as ways to help with the company. Indeed, my business partner had her ways of doing things. We all have our own different gifts and talents that we use to help build the company together,
Now, I read that you also had an opportunity to work with Quentin Tarantino's company, A Band Apart.
Yeah, well, I worked with his company. A Band Apart was one of the companies that he has. A Band Apart also is and I can't say that. I don't know for sure it's still like this at this time because I'm not, in that mix anymore. But at the time, he did a lot of music. I think they still do. One division of his company is makes music videos and commercials. Mm. So I was part of that, his producing squad of people that would, they bring me in to work on a lot of these music videos and commercials. So that, that phase I was talking about when I was doing the PA work and just getting in the mix to learn how this was going, how this stuff worked.
Correct.
That was that moment, yeah. So
now,
he never was there. He was always shooting the big movies, but his producers and partners and people like that that ran that division of his company, of Band Apart, that's the division that I worked for, yeah.
Okay, well, I want to talk about your new movie entitled Note to Self, starring LaToya, Luckett, and Christian Keys. Tell us about that movie.
So we have a brand new film. It came out actually in October, and, we just really getting the word out. Really excited about it. It's called Note to Self, and Note to Self is a film that it's a coming-of-age story that you follow a gentleman who's in college, his senior year, and going into his senior year, he's one of the basketball stars. He just thinks that everything's about to be the perfect year, having fun, partying and all that. Well, it actually turns to be totally the opposite, and his mother becomes very sick. He's finding out that he's recognizing that he has to start to go from being a boy to a man. Mm. And in that process, one of his mentors, or it's played by Ryan McKnight, it ends up being he's like a psychologist, so to say, and part of his basketball scholarship, he worked as an internship, and his doctor basically tells him, I see that you're going through some things right now. Maybe you should journal what you're thinking and get these issues out, and it'll help you out. And, of course, guys are like, I don't journal and all this kind of stuff. Journaling, men don't do that. But he said, you'd be surprised how writing things down can help you, internalize things and deal with things. And so as we go through his year in college, we kind of chronicle his year in college. In a real cool story, love story type of thing. He has a girl that is that situation where it's like, it's just a girl that he's just messing with, but it has no real, levels to it. It's just a fling type thing with this one girl he deals with all the time. And he realizes even that as he's growing from the boy to the man, he realizes he wants more. Mm-hmm. And as he's searching for more in his life, in different areas of his life, and starts journaling through these things, he starts to become aware of who he is, who he used to be, and where he wants to go now. And LaToya plays this new woman that comes into his life who is totally been cold towards men because of experiences in her past, and he's seeing that this woman, though, has the qualities of a woman that he wants to be with, you know, and she's the opposite. She has morals and values that he feels like that's the type of woman that he would want to be around. Mm-hmm. And so, anyway, and of course he has the friends that are like, he's also a frat guy, so he also has a friend who's like, what are you talking about, man? Where's the old, his name is Curtis King, where's the old Curtis King? You know, like, they want you to still, and it's like, this is like with all of our people, that when we grow, there's the people who are around us who are still trying to keep us in that old place.
Right.
As you're trying to move to the next level. And that's the whole process, why it's called Note to Self. You know, it's kind of like taking a note to yourself that go to your highest self in life, you know, and never stay at one place. You know, you should be always growing. And sometimes as you grow, you leave people behind you, you know. Yeah. And that's kind of like the journal, what the journaling does, and how we follow through his life. And we see the growth of a guy going from a boy to a man. And it's really a very powerful image, because we deal with a lot of different subject matters in this story that are relevant to today's society, and especially the youth today, and just adults in general, I think, can really understand the concept of, you know, you got a man who decides, you know, I'm willing to wait on sex. You know, if a woman says, she said, I don't want to rush this, and I might want to wait. I might want to wait till marriage. Mm. Are you down with that? Like, these are conversations that need to really be had, that a lot of people run from, and we deal with this stuff in this movie. So, and how you respond to those things, you know. So, it's I think it's a powerful thing.
I mean, I really like that, because you said first you're dealing different levels, but then two, you realize you can't take everyone with you, because not everybody has your best interest at heart. And for this to be a coming of age movie, I like the point when you have some people that want to keep you in it. It is no matter what age, be it if you're in high school, college, 40 years old,
Absolutely.
You always have people that want you to stay where you used to be, and they don't want to see you grow. And people were putting all kind of stuff on Facebook. I was reading just today, how people had to let people go as they were going into 2013. So I think that's a great movie, for 2013. So everybody, make sure you check out Note to Self. Now, where can people go and see the movie?
I'm sorry, so that you said say that last part again.
That's okay. Where can people go and see the movie?
Absolutely. You can get it on Amazon. You can go to iTunes. It's also in Target and Walmart. You should get it at the stores there as well. And it should be soon available on Netflix and things like that as it, keeps going. We teamed up with Image Entertainment and Swirl Films on this, so they're like part of the distribution model with this that came in, and we were blessed. They were to invest into this movie and allow this movie to be made, because it isn't the normal story that Hollywood typically allows people to see. It gives you a place. Most people know Good Will Hunting, and how that storyline, you follow that guy, like when I'm saying Good Will Hunting, in the sense of how you follow a guy who had something, like he needed someone to help him get through some things. And that kind of storyline, or when you've seen Love and Basketball, like that kind of going through the season of a guy's life and this girl's life, and seeing how this love relationship and all these things go through. So it has those little formulas of what you've seen in those movies, but those aren't often seen in Hollywood, especially with African-American casts.
Right.
Typically. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time it's just comedies, or, we've done them, comedies, there's romantic comedies, but this has a little bit of all of it. So a little bit, we have the thinking, the part where it's like, these are real people, and this is real situations. We have funny people who are funny in the movie, but everything is based on reality. I mean, it's very real, meaning how they portray this. It's not, it's not your, the comedy is based on reality. I mean, people laugh at it and they say, that's real. I know somebody like that, so. Well, but those are places you can get it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your romantic comedies. You have two other films entitled We Are Family and Perfect Combination. Tell us about those.
Yes. So Perfect Combination is a project we did a couple of years ago. Perfect Combination is a romantic comedy about a guy who's has everything, he's got the money, the cars, the house, the career, but he doesn't have a woman. And he goes out, he decides to connect with a dating agency And this woman helps him find a wife, a girl, looking for that perfect combination, so to say, woman. So it's on his journal, and we follow this journey of him meeting all these different women and realize sometimes things are right in front of your face. A lot of times when you're looking for stuff, we're always searching in the wrong places, so to say, and you don't realize it's kind of sitting right in front of you.
Correct.
So that was kind of like perfect combination. Then we have We Are Family, which is coming out. It's actually it is a romantic comedy, but it's really even more so a faith-based comedy, dramedy. It's about 6 strangers who are brought to one location. They all thinking they're coming there for different reasons, to this huge mansion in Malibu, and for their own personal, career goals. And they get there, and they're all different colors: Asian, Black, Latin, white. And they get there, and they're all looking at each other like, who are you, who are you? And they come to find out, in a nutshell, that they're all family. And of course, they don't know how this is possible. You're looking at all these different colors, and you're saying, there's no way I know my dad, I know my father, I know my, what are you talking about? And there's an attorney played by Ron Rico, Lee, who's, many people know his work. Ron Rico, he's on Let's Stay Together, the show Let's Stay Together, and he basically is the attorney who tells them, do you really know who your father is? Let's think about it. You know what I'm saying? And he goes through each one of their stories, and you realize that the parents, the mother, all of these people's mothers have not told them the truth about their father. And the father has passed away and left an inheritance for them, but he wanted them to, in order for them to get this inheritance, they had to get to know each other. So, but the deeper level of this movie is really about that we all have a father, the Father in heaven. That's why I said it's a spiritual base to it. It's very obvious when you start watching the movie. And that we always focus on so much differences with each other instead of how much we're alike. We're always looking at, well, this person is like this and this is this, but we all have the same Father. Our Heavenly Father created all of us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we all look at each other not in sometimes so much against each other. Well, that's kind of like the spirit of this movie was about. We Are Family is like, we did our best to cast this movie and have people who kind of favored in certain ways, obviously, to make this realistic, but the real message in this was when you end up at the end of this movie, they all realized all of their flaws and issues. They had to deal with them in this time frame because it was like a perfect match of putting all of them together, because it was almost like the father knew all of their issues would kind of be exposed and they have to face themselves. And a lot of times when you're around family, you deal with the real stuff.
Right.
We don't deal with the fake mirror, fake image, glass mirror, that we like to portray to everybody else. We deal with the real. Family knows you for real.
That's right.
And you expose it. But you find out you have a family member tomorrow, all of a sudden they're in the bold, and you start exposing all this information about who you are, and you can learn from other people if you're open. So
that's good. Oh, that sounds
like
like
what We Are Family is fun.
Now, when can we expect to see that one?
Well, We Are Family is something that I'm expecting to release sometime this year. So right now we're actually in the midst of, a lot talking to distributors about that and everything. Right now, they're looking at some of the film we independently funded ourselves at the company. So, it's a passion, one of our passion projects that we created, and we felt like it would have a really powerful message. So, we just want to make sure it's in the right person's hand to get the message out for this movie as broad, the best way as possible.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing that. You also have some other projects I read in development, Always a Bridesmaid, and also Ring My Bell with Morris Chestnut. Tell us about those developments.
Absolutely. Okay, so Always a Bridesmaid is written by Yvette Nicole Brown, who's, one of the stars of Community. Everybody knows she's an excellent writer. And she came to, her and my business partner know each other pretty well, and she just knows about what we've been doing over here at our company. And she was like, I really want to get this story out, but we're a company, like I said, a big part of what we do is about empowerment. So we want to make sure that people's voices are heard, and she has a great story that should be heard. So we have this project, and this is a project we plan on actually shooting sometime this year. And we're actually in the midst of talking to a couple of people about being the stars of the project, some pretty notable people. So we're really excited about this. And then, the fact that Yvette is involved, and just how well she's been doing, and she's such a spiritual, wonderful spirit in general, and to just, you want to work with like-minded people. So we're just really excited about Always a Bridesmaid, and, it's that concept about being a bride, always being the bridesmaid, but never getting married, so to say.
Correct.
So, you kind of got the concept of that. It's very funny, but it's also very real, it puts you in, she did a great job in how she portrayed this story. So, Ring My Bell is another project that Morris Chestnut's partner brought to us, which his writing partner brought to us, and it's basically, it would be like the new version of Boomerang in a certain sense, but in a different way. It reminds you, it puts you in the spirit of Boomerang in a lot of ways. So, but it's about a man who too he sees this guy who's been kind of like, he's a real estate mogul, and he's just had it his way, the way it's been inherited from his father. All this stuff has kind of been given to him, even the women, it just comes easy. But one day he meets this woman who, quote unquote, rings his bell, and it changes everything by how he sees. But he knows that if she finds out who she's heard of who he is, but never met her, because he actually lives in one of his buildings that he wants to turn from an apartment to a condominium. And and it's based in New York, so that's a big thing. Leasing to owning.
Right.
Everybody has to agree, and just so happens this is one of his tenants, who is the one that's not agreeing with turning it into it. But it also happens that it's a woman of his dreams. So how does he balance these two things out? And he actually becomes another person. He creates a whole nother image for himself to woo this woman, hoping that over time she'll come to just see who he is. And man, the story goes berserk afterwards, because once he has to reveal the truth, it's a great story. And so Morris is definitely involved with that as a producer as well. So this is one of those projects where Morris was also wanting to be involved behind the scenes, and take more initiative to create images and stories that he wanted to tell as well.
Well, that sounds like a Boomerang Coming to America type thing with Eddie Murphy.
Absolutely. No, that's the perfect mix of what it is. Seriously.
Wow.
We love Coming to America. Love those. I mean, those are movies, like I said, when you said, these are movies that I loved as a child. You know what I'm saying? Coming to America and Boomerang, and a lot of Eddie Murphy's films. I'm telling you, man, they're very powerful. Harlem Nights, all those things. So.
Right. Well, I know you have a remake coming up that I really is interested in, Flamingo Kid.
Oh man, yeah. Hey, we're running it down here. So check this out: the Flamingo Kid. And you want to talk about faith. You want to talk about going with your spirit. And this is a movie that I think I knew about this film when I was a senior in high school. And, how you're watching TV one day and you see something when some movie come on, and you're like, what is this? And you're just watching it, and it was those oldies but goodies movies made in the 80s or something. And I just remember always that movie just was very, it said something to me. I don't know, it just really sat on my heart, seeing it in high school. So I went out to L.A. I realized, there's so many of these movies being remade in Hollywood, and whatever the case. But the Flamingo Kid always been set on my heart, and I thought how relevant this story would be today. It's just as relevant today as it ever has been, about a kid who is in a low-income family. At this time the movie was made in, it was shot in the 80s, but it was set in the 60s when this was made. About a kid whose parents he's a carpenter. None of the parents were going to college. Their goal is to see their son go to college. And it's his senior year in high school. But he gets a chance to go to this amazing, luxurious beach club with all of the rich people this was based in like the New York, Brooklyn world, whatever. And he goes there and his life changes. He sees something he's never seen before, which reminds me a lot of what these kids are going through today. A lot of kids who see what they see on television, and when they see the bling and all this stuff, and they just immediately disregard what the parents want. And this kid kind of does this because he meets the owner and kind of befriend each other in a certain way. And the owner takes him in and was like, I'm going to show you how to become rich and make it happen. College, don't worry about college. College, like everything that the dad wants for him, it's the opposite. You know what I'm saying? With this guy who's got it all. It's kind of like how you thinking, oh, well, he's doing it. You're barely making it. I think I'm moving to him. But you know what? You realize the grass is always as green as you think it is from the other side. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like what the movie's about.
Okay.
But I had this idea about remaking it. I just called the producers, and it's Michael Phillips one day, randomly, never met this man in my life before. Michael Phillips loved the idea. And Michael Phillips he's created Taxi Driver. He produced Close Encounters. He won for Destined. I mean, this is a very, notable producer in Hollywood, and I really took a high chance on just trusting my gut and telling him how I thought this thing would work. There was no paperwork, no contract, but it was faith. It was him, and this man ended up being he's a very influential person in my life. Just how he took me in, and we went around and tried to get this thing made. Moved to this year, Brett Ratner became involved. This is one of his favorite films of all time, too. And Brett Ratner took it to Disney, and Disney wants to make a movie.
See, faith. That's why I love the Lord. You stepped out in faith. You made a phone call.
And that was 5 years. That was 5-6 years ago. Keep in mind.
Wow.
And we knew that we had to get Disney because there's some elements that the movie has a little edge to it. With this kid goes into this beach club world, there's a little edge to it. But at the end of the day, if you bring the right situation to anybody that makes them feel like they can benefit from it in a different way, it's just the way the game is, the nature of business a lot of ways, But you never know. You have sometimes your way of thinking what you want and how you want it to be, but this came out to be something totally, it was bigger than I could have even imagined.
Wow.
With Brett coming in and his influence in this town, too, just in how this dude is about to make Hercules right now with The Rock.
Wow.
And so this movie is now, and, Disney wants to make the movie, so we're in the process of going through that right now. So that was great news, in September of this year we found that out. So.
If I was y'all, would have screamed. You probably did, because I probably would have just keeled over and just collapsed to see your vision come to pass.
Absolutely, that was great. That's a great. That was great.
And you've also done some things with David E. Talbert with Suddenly Single, A Fool and His Money, and What Comes Around Goes Around. We've been watching those plays on BET. How did you actually hook up with David E. Talbert?
Yeah, so working with Image Entertainment, who did Note to Self, and they actually distributed Perfect Combination with us as well. And we've done some other movies. We worked with Image on a lot of projects. Well, one of the things we are really excited about at Destined is not only do we work with like notable actors, people that you recognize, and all of that. We also are really big on building new actors and new faces as well. See, we have the ear to the people who are really coming up and have the skill set, and they're ready. They're ready out here. So because of that, and we have a lot of the relationships directly with these people. So Image and David teamed up with us to help them cast this. This is the first time we've ever done any casting specifically for anybody else. Usually we do the whole production and, we come in and we do the whole shebang sort of thing. But this was, they asked us, hey, I know you don't do casting only, but would y'all be interested in working? And David had a very specific way of wanting things. He has an ear and eye for what he writes and how he wants to see things done. And so we came in, and those are 3 projects that Image was working with him on, and we helped him cast these projects, and brought in people from some of the people that were, actors that we knew he wanted to be in the film, that, some notable actors and faces in it, but also some fresh actors, too, that still were at the level of acting that David was expecting for his projects,
Mm-hmm.
So, and the new faces, too. So he had a very similar vision of making sure he blended both of them for his project. So it became a really great partnership with doing that. So those were the 3 projects: A Fool and His Money, Suddenly Single, and What Comes Around Goes Around. We did those 3 those between this year and last year, those 3 came out kind of like you said on BET, and now they're available on DVD and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a great experience.
Yeah, because you have Bre'ly Evans, which is my girl, definitely in Suddenly Single. Love her. And we know she's in Sparkle as well.
Bre'ly was also one of the stars of our film in Note to Self,
Yeah.
And she was incredible. Bre'ly's a face to be recognized. You know, she's somebody to be seen. She's going to be a star, like a major star in Hollywood. I really truly believe that.
Yeah, I believe so too. She's a great actress. Love you, Bre'ly, girl. When you listen, love her. Also, too, if people want to follow you on Facebook, Twitter, learn more about you, is there a website people can go to find out about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is www.trydestined.com. That's spelled TRID as in David, DESTINED.com. Our Twitter address is @TryDestined. My Twitter address is at Trey Haley, TREYHALEYTDS, the initials of TryDestined Studios. My business partner as well is Indy Brown at TDS for Twitter. And so, you know, we built a really strong foundation within our company. We have, you know, another partner, Greg Anderson, who was one of the writers of who wrote Stomp the Yard back, you know, several years ago, and he's one of the partners in our company. And then we have our vice president, Veronica Nichols, who, you know, all of these people are part of what we do, you know, from creating these projects. Some of them are, you know, from writing them, producing, directing. So we have created a team of very, you know, creative individuals out here that are really making some new strides out here to make change in the entertainment industry.
And see, that's the one thing that I like, because, like, I love your motto for TryDestined. Can you share with us your motto for TryDestined Films?
Yeah. Our motto is destined to change the perception of the world. Boom. That's it.
That's it. That's all you can say.
That's it. That's it. It's just, that's whatever we do. When you see our films, some people say, you know, art imitates life, and then some people say life imitates art. Well, you know, it could do a little bit of both, but we would like what we show on camera, on TV, or on film, or whatever we should do, to have some influence on our life. See something better, know there's great hope, inspiration in our lives.
And before we go, if there was a young director, young producer out there listening, what can you say to encourage them, or what advice would you give them and they're trying to break into this industry?
Yes. You know, if I gave someone advice about breaking into this industry, you know, it would probably be this. It would be this. I'm going to be honest with you. It would just be, if you truly believe that you have a gift to add some type of, you have a gift for filmmaking or acting or whatever, producing, whatever it is, know that you have to make a lane for yourself, figure out how you're going to show yourself different from among everybody else. You might have to go about it a different way, or utilize relationships that are all in front of you. You know, like, be open to opportunities. Don't ever think that something is too small for you. Like, you got to remove your ego out of it. In order for me to get that internship at Morgan Freeman's company, I was a courier who I decided I was going to be on. I need to get on the lots of studios and build relationships. How can I easily get on the lots of the studios? I didn't know anybody in Hollywood, so how am I going to do that? Oh, you know what? There's these courier jobs that deliver scripts to studios. I'm going to take that job. It wasn't about the job. It was about the meeting people. You know, it was bigger than that. So I had to remove my ego from this guy driving a car around with scripts in his car to deliver it, and not to think that, oh, they're going to look at me small, but to say, I know who I am, and I know what I have to bring to this town or to this business, and I know that somebody else is going to see that with me. You know what I'm saying? See that in me too. And so it's what I'm saying is that I had that faith and that belief in myself. And so that's what I would say to people. Just don't, if you truly believe in this is what you want to do, go for it and just be fearless and have a specific vision and stick to it. And be prayerful and centered, and keep people around you that are uplifting and inspiring and don't bring you down, you know, because you want to be around positive people too. So, you know, those are just a few things, and be around people who can see the value in you too, you know, there, even though sometimes like there are people out here who can help you and will help you. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to just pick up the phone and go for it. But just be confident about yourself about it, you know? So, those are a few things I would say about going after this.
I like how
really
go ahead.
Stay in your lane. Create a lane for yourself. Mm-hmm. Create a situation where people can see, wow, this is what you do. This is incredible. This is nice. So I see the value in this. Really figure that out.
And see, I like how you said, Trey, the accessibility. The courier job gave you access to the people that you wanted to meet. So you didn't just look at the courier job. It was basically a key to get you into where you needed to be so you can meet people. And I think people forget that certain things are keys for you to get in. Like, I never forget when I did my first movie when I was 15. I was an extra on the movie set, but it was a key to get me onto that set. Before you know it, they ended up giving me a role in the movie. Which I was not expecting. Absolutely. But if people forget, if you look at things as a key, that'll open up the door for you to go to wherever you need to be. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was a nugget for somebody that's listening on today. And Trey, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It was definitely a pleasure having you, and you have to come back because we got to talk about the Flamingo Kid when Disney puts that out. Really excited. Talk about We Are Family when that hits. You got some good stuff, so you'll be back on the show quite often.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you and your time, allowing us me to talk about our company and the things that we're doing. And any way I can assist you in whatever you're doing too, I'm totally, let me know.
Thank you so much, Trey. Appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.